that they have settled into their matches so far here through the North American League. They have been extremely exciting, not just in their player camps, but also more importantly in the server.
I was gonna say, and DC as a team so far in this stage, they've had a great start in that 1 week play day, but then yesterday 7-0 against Space Station on Cafe, where they started attack. And then right now, same story. Cafe, DC in attack. Has Beastcoast done the job, studied it enough to figure out the weaknesses? Or does DarkZero have a whole nother book of strats to utilize that they have yet to show? We'll see. Nuke ban to start things off. That's going to be the choice from Beastcoast. And DarkZero, they say goodbye to Hibana. The soft breacher and the flashbang's gone from the table. That means you're going to have a little bit of less utility to work with, because now you got to play the ace in most rounds, at least in top floor reading and mining bomb site. That stable operator for Asami goes next. It makes Piano such a fortress on the defensive side, and if you're starting an attack, it's a very good operator to remove from action. That leaves just Beastcoast final defender ban.
I know that I don't have the numbers to back this up at my disposal in comparison to previous events and previous stages. But does it feel like we're seeing more Azami bans, or is that just me?
Oh, that is a good question, actually, because
maybe I'm just noticing it more.
The thing is, like, Asami has pretty much always had like a presence in terms of being banned, even when she first came out. Is it more now than before? Hard to tell, actually.
Yeah.
But her pick rate and ban rate are both high, so she's not banned, she is played, that's for sure.
I mean, she has the second highest ban rate of all operators. Guess who number one is?
On attack or all operators? I know
just in general.
Okay, Ying is the most banned, so I'll just say Ying.
You are incorrect.
Who's the most banned?
Solus is presently the most banned operator.
Oh, see, that one I would not have figured out by just feel. Like, she's played a bit, she's banned a bit, but the most banned operator?
The most banned operator in North America League right now.
Okay.
So if you're going by just simple rates at the moment, obviously Azami, actually with this ban, Azami has actually surpassed her, believe it or not.
Okay.
Prior to this match beginning. Meaning that at the conclusion of our first 2 matches, of which Azami was banned in only one, Solus was banned in the very first match, and then Azami was banned in the second match. As of this particular moment, Solus has a 57% ban rate, as does Azami, but Azami just got banned in this game, so it's going to tick up a little bit.
Okay.
Third is Ying at 48%. Ying is in a bit of a strong spot.
Yeah. Speaking of, if not banned, then played, Pambusu in the very opening round does bring the Ying to the table with Canadian on Capital. So these are not super common operators on Cafe of all maps, but they certainly have a place where they can be utilized, be the site execute to take either Piano, Cigar, or maybe the bomb site itself. It's reliable utility on a map like Cafe where the rooms are not that big. Those Candelas will most likely blind everybody within range.
Hold on a second. All of DZ is lined up cocktail side right now. Oh, okay, they're going to the roof. I was like, are they going up top, or are they just going to go through the windows because they've got a Ying on the board?
No, I was thinking the same thing, that they could just go for a fast one, but they're gonna... Okay, so the thing is, it's hard to get claymores put down on the cocktail on the east side before the window jump outs, because there are like 3 windows they can jump out from. So you need, you know, at least 1 or 2 members to cover while claymores go down. I assume that's what happened. They put all 4 claymores in that area. They covered it. They just took that first safe step and then rotate over. Because if a single member goes there, you'll likely just die to an aggressive peek. It could still be, though, a fast one. Window repels Skylight and Ying and Capital. They can make a lot out of nothing.
DZ made a splash by picking up Achieved in the offseason. He enters as the lowest rated player in the North America League, which is honestly stunning.
Yeah, I mean, both because of his status, but also DC being such a good team this stage, it's kind of surprising.
Yeah, the 3, we talked about this in a matchup earlier, the 3 lowest scores in terms of ratings right now are all 3 former world champions, actually, and former TSM players in Merc, Geo, and Achieved. And speaking of SI champs, G2 announced, and Rainbow Six Esports announced a new bundle. Hold on a second, we'll talk about it in a second. Achieved wants that rating to be pushed a little bit higher. Mr. B down for the count. That's the Warden, which is critical because there are still Capitao Firebolts, Smoke Bolts, and Candelas going off. And amidst that, Canadian going for the plant. Can they stop him in time? So far, the coverage from DZ looks mighty good. Canadian dies, but not before the diffuser goes down. And now there's only 2 players left from Beastcoast. That is it. Reduced to rubble. Vertical looking for the sprint out, but no. It can't go through Cigar. Pambazoo is there instead. Upside down repel from Achieved will be tough to beat, but there's still 3 other players from DZ as well to find for Hyper. And it's Achieved to seal the deal. Starts out the killing, ends the killing. Round 1 in the win column for DarkZero.
Look at Troy's player cam, by the way. He was just giving it his all into the player comms. And honestly, that was a very accurately structured round from Darks. I mean, there were no real flaws to be shown there. Sure, Troy died shortly after the diffuser went down, but even if that had happened, they had built such a big advantage both in map control, with the side execute, as well as just getting 2, if not 3 opening kills. I mean, the castle barricade on Cigar double door to Piano actually helped the DarkZero with their plan, because they can completely just walk into Cigar and not just completely ignore that stronghold that typically is the Piano side of things. They read it, they saw it, they executed correctly, they waited until the last minute of the round, but you can take all the time you need as long as the execute itself is successful. In Beastcoast, they're gonna answer back with Doc picking Caveira. So, a kitchen and kitchen bomb site, Caveira hiding upstairs. But the thing is, DarkZero, currently they're hovering Dokkaebi Multi Amaru. It doesn't appear to me that they're gonna go from room clip with that setup most likely, so Caveira might just be off the side alone with nobody nearby.
5 seconds
There's a
left.
chance for it.
Is Pambazoo going to kamikaze into the top floor and get interrogated by
See.
Doc? That is what's on the menu right now. Here's what I'm going to do so that they can edit this deceptively. Absolutely that's going to happen. There's no way that's happening.
Oh, so new.
Now you can supercut it.
Oh, God.
Now you, clever editors out there, can go and supercut it. I am right in some way. He drones into place right now for DarkZero on that bottom floor, but where is the Amaru of Pambazoo? There we go. Over by delivery.
Yeah, again, it's DarkZero waiting for something to happen, and I will say Beastcoast actually very patient, both in round number 1 and 2, not really moving many muscles. They don't have to, they recognize that they have their preferred areas of the map, but it's a relatively straight attack for DarkZero.
Yeah, they're going for that delivery side. They're also going for whiskey side. Here's the one thing about a Cav, though. If a Cav does not get spotted and comes for a retake, her pistol has one of the highest damages in the game at that close range. It can be anywhere from 1 to 2 shots on a down per player. When you're playing at this level and you catch 3 players off guard, you can very easily narrow those numbers down, and Doc is waiting for his opportunity to strike on that Cav. Beastcoast losing hat. And, I mean, Doc wins it. All right, doesn't have the pistol in hand, but instead, long barrel on the SMG, gets the kill and immediately gets away. They know that there's a Cav on the board. Taking Achieved out. Still got the Monty up, though, for DarkZero.
Yeah, the Monty here is the big important part, because he's gonna push around the map and also just create a safe area. You know, he can check the brown staircase, Caveira's not there, phone call went down. They can sort of figure out either Doc went back up top floor or down the red stairs. Just kind of waiting and closing that net around him. Haven't found him yet, though. They think he's inside a dining train area, and they're almost correct because he's right next to that area in mining.
Might have burned those logic bombs from NJR's Dokkaebi a little bit too early.
Yeah. It would have been lovely to have one for the execute.
Yeah.
Now the flank is a problem. Drones might be watching it. Only 3 are dead so far for DC. They got plenty of info at their disposal.
I think the toxic ganisters go out, though.
Yeah.
Every single time one of those toxic babes gets thrown out, they don't need to wait till the tail end of the round to worry about that. Mr. B's used all 3 of them. 30 seconds left. Doc still looking to strike. Right now on brown stairs. He might actually see the Monty from the side. Yeah, there's an opportunity here. Doc needs to go.
Ooh.
Doc absolutely needs to go, and there it is. Snaps on the Canadians, say goodbye. Picked off by NJR, but it might be a bit too late. The main focus for DZ was that shield off. Unfortunately for Beastcoast, every time that they seem to take an engagement, they get crushed by DZ. The DarkZero goes up 2-0.
That, when Doc walks down the brown stairs and kills Canadian on the Monty, that should be a round.
That should have been curtains.
Yeah, that should be it. Over. But DC, they play the 2v1 so well on the red staircase. One member shoots a Rooney, the second member strikes from that the closet, the generous, what do we call the coat room is what we call it. Swings from coat. Yeah,
coat
the
check?
Coat check.
Coat check.
Just
Where you,
just
where
coat
you,
for short.
It's where you check your coats.
Yeah. Check them in, check them out. Take them off, take them on. So the isolation, the 2v1, the guarantee the kills, and then the side mirrors of Beastcoast seemingly playing too passive, kind of letting that fall apart, and then they find themselves in the crossfire again. Canadian sure is cooking something up with these operators, and I have to say, DC only played a single defense round yesterday because of that 7-0. So Beastcoast, they should have the most amount of success right now when they start defense, because they can expect some of these things to be happening, whereas DarkZero's defense is a little bit more unknown to them. So far, it's DC in the driver's seat. Couple of different attack pick options. Canadian going from the Monty to the Amaru back to the Capital. And Pamasu again back onto Ying, just like in round number 1. So there might just be that many different pocket variations from DC that they can keep Beastcoast guessing as to what's going to be coming. And that's the thing, once you play a fast-paced, heavy execute round, then next round you go into like a Monty, you take it very slowly. It's very difficult to adapt to as a defending team because you don't know what's gonna happen. So now you got Beastcoast kind of guessing or just blindly making these decisions. Okay, early C4 goes out from Mr. B, doesn't find anything. Good attempt, however, but now they have no utility. All they have left are 3 toxic babes, there are no impacts, there are no C4s, and have also taken a fair bit of damage early on in the round.
Hap has honestly been the win condition on a lot of these matches for Beastcoast, dropping double digits in a ton of his games. And just, so far, slow start. But, I mean, there have been struggles across all of Beastcoast. Hyper also on 0 kills, Mr. B on 0 kills. Smoke canisters tossed out by DZs. We almost hit the halfway point in the round, or rather, now we almost do. Almost now. Hold on a second. 10 seconds. Almost now.
You just want to be right.
I want to be right. That's
5 seconds.
5 seconds. Almost. Hold on a second. Hold on. Now, there we go. We're at the halfway point of the round.
Such an accurate call. Oh my god.
We nailed it. Toxic canisters in response, and there are Candelas to boot. Canadian using all of those bolts from the crossbow. So far, there's been no blood spilt until Achieved gets killed by Vert on the run out. NJR is the Claymore there to tie it back up in a 4v4. Beastcoast taking some damage. Both Hyper and Hat are a little bit weak. Now it's Gavin to die to Mr. B. He gets on the board. Still looking for Hyper and Hat's first kills. Playing that Humidor. Just as the red drop will come in, that shotgun should be very, very potent. Is he blinded out? That's the real question. A drop behind him, still stuck in that position. The smoke trapped in the Humidor right now. Hat knows this, he's got information, but he has to choose his moment right. Gets some damage done to the Capital, but not enough to secure. Final 30 seconds, Nick. Pamazu yet to die in the bomb site. He's taken down by Mr. B, but he wasn't the only one in the line of sight there. Canadian finishing off Hat inside of that Humidor. He's not gonna get a single kill. 3v2 favoring Beastcoast right now.
Yeah, DC not able to one that a 2-step execute, but neither worked.
It's like there's no urgency. There's so much time. There's so little time left, and there was just no fire in the belly of either of these teams. I mean, I suppose it's more important that DZ be the team to land the first punch, as they have the diffuser. They need to get that down. But Beastcoast finally get on the board, in large part because DZ were not quick to adapt.
No, I mean, they had that first fake execute. I think they were hoping that Beastcoast was going to be acting more than they were. Only one member made a move. I think that was Vert jumping out a window and then trading with the Claymore. So it's like, that's the only thing they really sacrificed to the first step execute. When the second step came through, that was, so the first step was Capital, smokes and fires. The second step is Pambusu on the Ying, so his smokes and his Candelas. The moment the first Candela was tossed on out to extend that second attack, someone else from DC died immediately. And that changed the call. Canadian probably said, guys, we can no longer do it. Things aren't caught the way they should be. We go to red hatch instead, try and work Cigar, drop down that corner hatch, but that also did not work. Beastcoast sitting still inside piano. This time the castle barricade was not on the Cigar double door. It was broken early in the round, and because of that, Cigar was no longer a safe position for the attacking side. It was a danger zone, and DC could not push past. They could not get access to the side, and they got shut down. I think it's wise for Beastcoast to go to the reading bomb site because you can play it in a very similar way as the top floor. Sure, the bomb site is now downstairs, but the upstairs hold will stay relatively the same. Now, there's one big difference though. You can play utility below, like the C4 from Valkyrie from Hyper. You get cameras, you can toss them out, pre-place them, and there's no There is an IQ on the board. See, DarkZero one step ahead of everybody, Parker.
I blame that on the fact that we're used to having monitors in very close proximity where the time it takes for you to visually scan all the operators is like a second.
Yeah.
But now we have but a single, well, 2 TVs, I guess, technically, but they are much farther away. And because of that, it physically takes you a lot longer to look at the operator.
But I should still check them before even starting a phrase, right? But it's like, I got to notice, like, okay, there's no way the last operator's IQ. And I was like, oh, it's yellow. Ah, it's IQ. God damn it. It could have been a Lion for all I knew. They played Lion earlier, for example. I gambled it. I lost the fight. DC one step ahead. They're reading the situation perfectly. Of course, they got the Dokkaebi as well. They find that early pick. They can hack those cameras and therefore gain all the intel in the world. It's another slow round for DC. They just want to drone it all out, try and see if Beastcoast makes the first move, but they're so patient. They understand the clock favors the defending side. They don't need to do any plays.
Oh, Panbazoo, who'd been such a good player so far, shut down early on. That IQ that you talked about being pivotal to deal with these Beastcoast players and their utility is no more. Doc dies as well. He's been the standout performer for Beastcoast after having that bad first game all the way back last week. Well, he's seemingly found something new, and he's doing exceptionally well in this matchup. Hyper and Hat still looking for their very first kills. We're going to keep just poking at that, just ever so slightly poking at it.
Of course, the thing is here that by getting a trade that favors the attackers because NJR isn't Dokkaebi, can go into Cigar now, hack the cams, try to make a play off that, maybe get a kill for his Trouble's worth. You can also destroy the phone that you drop as a defender by shooting it or impacting and C4ing it. So if a teammate dies early and you're nearby, you can shoot the phone and shut down the Dokkaebi passive gadgetry, actually. It's rarely possible. In this round, it's the same. You cannot really go into Cigar if you're a defender. That's DarkZero's turf.
Absolutely. Again, the sense of urgency from DZ. They're aligning everything for this push, which now needs to come in with 25 seconds. The final member of DarkZero gets into the building that's achieved to hit the drop with 25 seconds on the clock. It's taking him some time to get closer. Look at this, 15 seconds left in the round, and there's 8 people alive. DZ not particularly close to the bomb site, but they're finding kills either way. Gavin dies, but not before 2 players from Beastcoast are taken out. Mr. B will need to clutch. He's gotten it down. There goes the diffuser from Canadian. NJR is the only one to watch. Mr. B shuts it down at the last second. NJR can't get there in time. Beastcoast tie the game.
And it just hit the 0-second mark. Mr. B was almost guaranteed to die just a second or 2 later. You see it there. Mr. B being the quote-unquote supportive cast, the IGL, the leader of Beastcoast, doing a great job in Tier 2 and Tier 3 of the North American League across his time in the scene. But he has had a spectacular start into his Tier 1 debut as well, finding clutch moments, great strategy usage, and just leading his team forward time and time again. He's often the last member alive, and it's why we tend to see him in those potential clutches. One of the benefits of being a smoke or mute player is that if you got that clutch gene, that clutch factor, you are a perfect operator to seize those opportunities when presented, because the SMG-11 shotgun combination, having a C4 Toxic Babes, it's just such a spectacular tool to have. Very dynamic, very flexible, always useful. That's why we see those 2 operators having such a high pick rate in professional play. And surprisingly enough, almost nobody bans Smoke despite how often he's played.
Yep.
10 seconds to insertion.
Smoke has been banned, it looks like twice, maybe 3 times so far in the NA League. 4%.
Attackers are heading out to defuse a bomb.
That's it.
Is that for just this stage? Yeah? I don't remember a Smoke ban.
You haven't been watching, my friend.
No, I mean, I haven't seen literally every single game, but majority. Smoke does tend to... Oh, wait.
Highest pick rate of all the defenders, by the way. 40% of all rounds.
I think we actually might have cast one of those Smoke bans.
We did.
I have a vague memory of it, yeah. But yeah, there was this thing with whenever teams would play against Xset and Kino back then, they would target ban the Smoke on him, for example. But then you get Mute, same operator basically, but slightly different gadgetry.
Do you remember who it was that we
do.
casted? It was Parabellum versus Space Station on the 2nd day.
Oh.
Bad Bangu.
I wouldn't have guessed that, I'll be honest.
You've been a bad boy.
A very bad boy. Did you remember? Did you look it up? Be honest.
No, absolutely. I looked it up. You think I remember every single operator
You
ban of
expect me
every
to-
single match?
It'd be crazy if you did.
You also keep the same notes as me, either way.
I did.
The most played defending operator has a 40% prevalence rate. Just in case you were curious.
Okay.
So 40% of all defending rounds has a smoke present in it, for those that don't understand how those numbers work.
Yeah. That also makes a lot of sense, to be honest. Again, you can play my bomb side, and especially against the Monty. It's one of the very few direct counters that can really stop Monty from pushing around. And if you get stuck in the corner with a Toxic Babe nearby, then you're going to take a lot of damage just once it doesn't move that quickly. And speaking of how quickly you move, DC, again, they really lack the urgency. And sure, they got them 2 rounds out of 4, so it's not all bad for them, but the last 2 rounds in particular, the clock has been the biggest adversary for them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be the same for this one.
Well, they're finally getting into position right now. Achieved having what might be the start of his best game so far since coming onto this DZ roster. DZ play a very defined structure, so it does not surprise me that it took him some time to get used to it. There are certain teams that have a system that they want to fit into, and you know, a player might need some time to get acclimated to that. I mean, look at Space Station. They picked up Canadian and they won USN, but they had some struggles before that. DZ the same. DZ did not look like world beaters the moment they picked up Canadian, but they have certainly adjusted since then, and they've won a major with him as their IGL. It's his 3rd major championship on a separate team, which is very, very impressive. There's an air jab that goes off, and nade lands into the lap of Mr. B. DZ with the very first pick here in round number 5. It happens again very late with 30 seconds to go, but the diffuser's going down, and there's a vault in. Pambazu has the coverage this time. Canadian continues to soldier on, shield on his back. Didn't even take a single point of damage out of that one. Hat searching for his first kill, same with Hyper. They're both boxed out of the bomb site right now. Hat over by White Stairs. Phone ringing, they know exactly where he is. All the while this is happening, it's like Canadian is leveling up. The Monty just sitting in the bomb site, doesn't even need to move. The supporting cast from DZ present as Canadian brings his shield back up. Now it's Hyper taking some damage. Hack picks up a big kill. He gets Canadian and Pambazu. How did this happen? DZ need to get to the diffuser. Down goes Hat. That's achieved covering from above. He's magnificent in that position, and it allows NJR the final moments to just get towards that diffuser and pick up the final kill. DZ answer back after losing 2 to Beastcoast. The worst DZ can do in this first half is draw, as that's their 3rd round.
It's a great spot to be in starting, attack on Cafe, because this is a map where most teams, they thrive on defense, right? Sure, Mir and Asami are banned, but you still got Intel operators, the Pulse, the Valkyrie, the Solus, etc. So you can still play a very good defense, but just in an information and utility-oriented way instead. And that bomb site attack just shows why Bug is such a great vertical operator compared to Sledge for very specific bomb sites. By opening up the soft wall inside of Train itself and the wall on the bomb site, he could see all the way through 2 layers right here, all the way down to the diffuser. That's why the post plant was so successful. Even if every single member died but achieved, he could probably clutch that 1 versus 3 single-handedly because his position is such a superior one at that. The only real way for Beastcoast to win that is if you run up a staircase and you challenge Achieved at the same time, or you hit a nasty kill through the floor on the bird, but that's difficult to do, and there wasn't that much time left. DC keep changing things up though. 1 round Monty, 1 without. It is very bomb site dependent, as we can tell so far. And Beastcoast, they have the same couple of operators at their disposal. They tend to pick time and time again. The Warden, the Castle, and the Smoke being the staple 3, with the Aruni and the Wamai kind of being the flexible operators. I think Warden, I mean, you gotta bring it because the Pambazu Ying that we've seen 2 times in a row now, not gonna be shown for a 3rd time. It's gonna be that Amaru instead.
Again, this is the 3rd time that we've seen Amaru being brought from DZ.
Yeah.
In this match at least.
He's in quickly this time out of dining. Just kind of waiting for his friends to get some drones situated. Doesn't want to risk dying early.
Don't know if this is a personal match at all for DZ, knowing that they're squaring off against their former teammate in Hyper, who, if you recall, dropped off the roster in a bit of a confusing and hasty fashion. Canadian in a very similar spot when he dropped off of Space Station as well, if people will recall. I don't fault players for making the decisions they do, but I know that DZ were probably not very pleased with the way that Hyper left the squad, just as I'm sure Space Station wasn't very happy with the way that Canadian left the squad.
No, that's understandable as well. One thing about this game in particular is that Canadian is 1-5, but I don't think anybody would say, oh, he's only got 1 kill in 5. It's like he's done so much playing those intel operators and execute operators, the Capital, the Montina, the Dokkaebi, and very clearly it's him leading the charge every single round, kind of starting or setting up the execute as he should.
Oh, Panbazoo has been so good at getting these entry picks. Now it's Mr. B to die again. Panbazoo can just rocket up the hatch if he wants. Vert's attention is elsewhere. He and Hyper were the ones that would likely greet the Amaru if he decides to yeet himself upwards.
He has the Fuser, actually.
I mean, get the Amaru and get the plant down, let everybody else do it. Canadian's been good at objective play. He's been bad on the killing fields. First half is in the books for Hyper. He's done and dusted in round 6. No kills to be found whatsoever. Toxic Babe goes out. There's the diffuser. You talked about it. Panbazoo had it. He's getting it down. Vertical, slaughtered by Achieved. Everybody from DZ still upright. They're looking at a flawless round unless Hat can pull a rabbit out of, well, I don't even want to say it. It's just, it's right there. Can he do it? Taking a lot of damage inside a cigar. No, he can't. Panbazoo getting it all done himself. First kill, last kill, and diffuser down. Hell of a round from him. Excellent job to him, to all of DarkZero. First half, 4-2 for DZ.
And you kind of see the reason why that attack worked so well is because the way DarkZero attacked that top floor bomb site all 3 times it was played, they always went east side first. You know, that cocktail window side, get the claymores down, open the windows, apply a lot of pressure, and then they would rotate to the hatch and the skylight. They did the same thing that round. They start east, they put down the claymores, they opened the windows, they got the hatches opened, but instead it's the box below. Amaru went in early to secure the map control. They blocked the 1 player on the bomb site itself, shut that down, and then they knew if we just have 1 person skylight or 1 person a cocktail window rappel, we can Amaru up the hatch and plant for free. And that's exactly what they did. There was nothing that could shut them down, and more importantly, Beastcoast did not have the information that it was even happening. So Solus is open, Valkyrie is open, Pulse is open. Beastcoast played Valkyrie, I think, 2 rounds, and that was really all the intel that they used. They were playing rather passive on the bomb side, almost allowing DarkZero the freedom to execute most of those rounds. And now things kind of get difficult if you're Beastcoast, because you haven't seen them at the DarkZero defenses, you don't know what they're going to be doing necessarily, and when you leave Troy all these different intel operators, we all know he can play both the Pulse and the Solus because whenever they're open, he just tends to be on those operators, and Cafe is a great map for those operators.
100%. All right, well, the setup is still going on. We're 20 seconds into live action, and doesn't seem like DZ are any faster on the defense setup as they were on attack. Not unusual to see teams go maybe 10, 15 seconds into live action, out of the prep phase, but still.
I guess there is one upside, is that because attackers they spawn so far off the map and gotta rappel all the way up, you actually have like 20-30 seconds extra on the clock theoretically unless Amaru exists.
Yeah, you think that, and then you're like, okay, it's 250. I'm gonna reinforce the wall, and then you get killed from Skylight, and you're like, how? And then you see it's an Amaru.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Suddenly, this makes a lot of sense.
Oh man.
DZ absolutely paving the way with first bloods in that first half. Also got the diffuser down 3 times. Mining and dining, the only bomb site that did not appear.
Yes.
Thank you for the vote of confidence.
Yeah, when you said mining and dining, I thought it was 2 bomb sites. I was like, no, we've seen 3 bomb sites being played, but it's the same bomb site. Yeah, I know. I'm 25 these days. Can
Lord grant me the strength.
Slow brain.
You weren't even born when Doa was 15.
Oh my, don't say that. That's why he's so wise.
Doa was halfway through high school and you were not even born. Just letting you know that.
Oh man. Look at this. You
Stand
thought
off.
DC was slow? Beastcoast, they've got them beat. But they don't got the Monty, they don't got the Ying, they don't got the Capital. They don't really have the lineup to go at this pace. They need kills.
They might not have even drawn Panbazoo. It just squeaks on by. Achieved in Panbazoo, as we'd spoken of, got those first 2 picks. Hyper, 0-7. Hat, 2-7. These are 2 of your players who are supposed to be leading the way on the team in their role for kills.
Yeah.
On defense, sure, it might be a little bit harder. On attack, they gotta be cracking open these rounds for you, or else you're gonna end up seeing DarkZero just roll over Beastcoast round after round after round on this Cafe defense.
Yeah, I mean, there's 35 seconds left, but it felt like the round just started because, again, no piano control has been granted yet.
It's just absolutely flown by. Doc, though, boy, oh boy, he's got a backpack, and he's got half of Beastcoast in it right now. He gets the very first pick for his team. But is it too little too late? Silenced by NJR. Mr. B and Vertical, the last two. Vert's not even in the building. He drops down the hatch with 17 seconds left to get into position. He was probably sitting on Skylight looking to cover, but he's gonna need to retrieve the diffuser now. It's in the Viper's pit. NJR the pick onto Mr. B, and Vert might even just try to save KD. That's exactly what he tries to do, but Achieved wants to get out of the basement of the Siege GG ratings. So he gets the very final pick. And DZ really just overpowering Beastcoast. I wouldn't be surprised if Beastcoast calls a timeout here. It's 5-2 for DZ.
Yeah, you gotta, you know, turn things around. The benefit of teams of both the caliber of like DC and Beastcoast is that they have Canadian on one team and Mr. B on the other. They have like, I'd almost say half a coach in their active player role. Like they're very vocal players, the leaders, they're IGLs. Beastcoast will call a tactical timeout so they can turn things around. But looking at how both DC and Beastcoast they attack so far. Sure, it was the first round for Beastcoast, but DC would be very slow, but they would continuously make a tiny amount of progress in the round. So by the 1 minute mark that was left, they could actually execute. Beastcoast would essentially make 0 progress throughout the round. When there was 1 minute left, that's when they realized that they actually just start doing something because nothing is really happening. So while they're both playing a slow pace, it's actually a very different approach to it. And I think the biggest factor to this is because DarkZero, they play those execution style operators so that they can hit the site successfully, whereas Beastcoast, they played arguably frag oriented. If they can get grenade kills, sure, or a Flores for terror drone kills, sure, but when it gets to the bomb site itself, there's all these long lines that are opened up, nowhere is safe to plant, and you have no way to obscure vision, so there's no way you can do that. Now, information operators, we spoke about it, Canadian on Jaeger, okay, and Achieved on Pulse. So things are kind of swapped around, and Achieved has had a great game so far. I am a little bit surprised that they wouldn't flip those two operator roles, give Canadian the internal operator, especially since Achieved is sitting on 9 kills and only 2 deaths, having a great game so far. Not to say Pulse isn't a kill-oriented operator, because you can get a ton of kills with him. It's just, for this particular instance, maybe a switcheroo.
Yeah, I am a little bit interested in these role swaps, you know. I wonder if it's maybe they put him on safer roles to give Achieved more agency, maybe try to get him out of the position he was in, because, you know, I spoke with Canadian and spent quite a great deal of time with him after he got knocked out of SI. I spent pretty much every day, actually, after he got eliminated and DZ got eliminated. I saw him every day in SI and spent time going to brunch, getting lunch, dinner, etc. And he told me at the time, which I guess is no longer a secret, he's like, I want Achieved.
Okay.
It's like the first thing he said. He's like, I really want him. He's like, you know, he's like, if we're going to get anybody off this free agency, he's like, I think Achieved would really fit our system. I think he's an excellent player. I think he'd really work. So they went after him for a while. It wasn't just kind of like, they're like, well, we need to make a change. Who are we going to pick up? Well, look at all these people on free agency. Oh, maybe we'll get Achieved.
Yeah.
This was deliberate. So the fact that Achieved has had some struggles early on adapting to this DZ system suggests that I don't think Canadian was wrong, but sometimes you need to make some small tweaks. Gunner on Sonics is a good example of that. You know, you bring over Gunner for a reason. He might not fit that Sonics system wholesale. You need to make some small tweaks. Maybe it's to your system. Maybe it's the way that Gunner plays. Today, Gunner had an excellent game. Yeah. Today, Achieved is having an excellent game. We are still only 6 matches into this North American League. Yeah. Very little time for teams to find success with these new players. It's gonna take some time and some games until they get comfortable.
That's a very important note to make, for sure. And the big question is not how good are you when the season starts, it's more how good are you when the season ends. And I know it sucks that you lose a couple of games early because of roster changes, but it's about the bigger picture, long term. Of course, majors, invitationals, that's the primary goal for teams. But to get there, you gotta do well domestically in the leagues online, and Hat opened things up for Beastcoast as Gavin off the board, but it's, well, my operator-wise, not the biggest loss, but Achieved still looking for that C4 kill.
Beastcoast needs something to kickstart their offense, and getting that first blood. Getting one player from DZ off of your back is huge. They've now got another target acquired. It's achieved. He gets droned out. Canadian lurking down below, expecting to get droned from delivery, but there's nothing there on the bottom of White Stairs. Achieved has retaken a position almost identical to where Canadian just was, and there's 2 heartbeats that were spotted on that sensor. Canadian looking the wrong way. Hat is just at the bottom of brown stairs, and it seems to confuse the team captain. Achieved in hot pursuit, but Hat is better. Hat has come online. This is what we talked about. The reason why you pick up players like Hat, like Hyper, is so that they can start off this round strong, so they can start off this half strong. Everybody from DZ has been eliminated except for NJR, who eats a flashbang to the face. We'll have to contend against the last 4. Nice shot on the Hat, but it's Vertical to seal the deal and give Beastcoast a much-needed round on attack.
It seemed like Beastcoast had a full read on DarkZero. I mean, Hat was downstairs way early in the round ahead of the execute. He was expecting Pulse to be lurking for information and someone to make a play off of it. And sure, it was the White Stairs focus for Achieved. Link and said, hey, drone me over, or scan me rather, towards the brown stairs, red stairs area and see if I can go for a flank. I think Solis might be a better operator for that kind of playstyle because the range is much further and the Pulse is mostly used for C4s because of that limited range. You want to act upon the information, not necessarily make decisions off the information. That's a big difference. Now, things are swapped up, and not just a little bit. Maestro, Solis, and Valkyrie. This is like the most amount of intel you can possibly dream of, and it makes perfect sense that the other operators, Goyu, I'm gonna count Valkyrie in this, Goyu, Valkyrie, and the Mute, they all got C4s. So, if you didn't watch the DarkZero 7-0 against SSG yesterday, DC played a single defense in the 7th round, and spoiler alert, they killed 4 out of 5 members from Space Station with C4s. So, and it was only 3 of those C4s. It was a double kill and 2 single kills. Might be looking for the same thing here. So if Beastcoast attacks the upper part of the map, so Cocktail, Piano, Cigar, verticality is going to be a threat. If they go horizontally, well, then verticality is going to be a threat as well, but from above, with those vertical holes leading to the bomb site. There's no real great outcome right now for Beastcoast besides going for a perfect clear where you kind of take the top floor, and then you got to cover the floor below you with a drone or a player holding those C4s. It's perfect to have IQ. Hyper made an excellent choice picking that operator because they gathered the intel with the drones in the prep phase. But Hyper most likely gonna spend the entire round on the scanner, just looking for C4s, looking for cameras, and kind of guiding his team into the unsafe areas, then making them safe and holding on to it. Nomad plays perfectly into that as well. Step by step for Beastcoast, and you can see it already now. Hyper just kind of mapping out all the cameras.
We're not going to talk about it this round unless he can get a pick, but yeah, you're now heading into the 9th round, and we've talked about Hyper's role on these teams and whether he's main entry, secondary entry, etc. I mean, Doc looks like he'll be playing main entry just based off of this lineup for Beastcoast.
Yeah, I think this also could be a case of if you go 0-7, give him the IQ, right? Let him be, quote-unquote, very useful in another area, because if you can't find the kills, you can't find the openings, he can now allow other people to do it.
And there's the first pick. It goes to Gavin, traded off by Vertical. Beastcoast have found some renewed life, looking a little bit stronger on this attack than they did on defense. Hyper's the first to die yet again.
Yeah, and
oh boy,
it's worse because it's the IQ. There is still information on the board. Sure, most C4, actually all C4s of Gavin being dead now has been sped, but there's still Valkyrie cameras alive because Gavin's watching one. So they didn't find all the pieces of information. We do have time though, a minute left, and verticality has already been started to shut down the bomb site. The Evil Eyes inside can shut down the default plan, but it's easy to destroy from above, and Vert finds NGR from the holes as well.
Oh, Vert doesn't find just one, he finds 2 from the same spot, Nick. Canadian firing back, down goes Vert. That's what you get for doing what you do best. Hat in the bomb site, Canadian softening up through the wall, looking for a kill, cannot find it, does more damage to Hat. He's got so many bullets. Problem is both Canadian and Achieved are miles away. But wait a minute, hold on, the old man can shoot. He's leveling these Beastcoast players. It's just Doc in a 1v2, and he's getting spam-marked. Canadian sees him, but Doc is simply better on the read. He's achieved of intel as now he drops, time running out. Doc has to commit to this diffuser plant, but he bails off at the last second. He's against a soft wall. Achieved could very easily stop him. He doesn't know that he's committed to it. So now Achieved needs to sprint in, and he picks it wrong, but the hip fire gets him anyway. DarkZero secures at worst an overtime loss. Really well done from DZ there as Canadian completely loses his mind.
Literally role-playing what he did in that round on Maestro, gunning down opponents. Beautiful. You know, the real imposter of that round was the air jab, because it forced Doc off the plant, which would have been successful. There's like a second or two left, but he feared for his life because it went off. That's a frustrating round to lose if you're Beastcoast, and I think the faces kind of tell the story. That should have been theirs, and because it wasn't, they're staring down the barrel that is match point.
Need to locate and defuse as many bombs.
Well,
as
they go up to Cocktail. For some reason, DZ are allergic to that bottom floor bomb site.
Honestly, with how dynamic DC is choosing to play Cafe, I think they should be allergic to it, because you can't do that much down. I mean, you can roam up, but there's not really a lot of verticality. It's hard to get back to the bomb site. You can't support your roamers. The information that you get by playing these info operators doesn't do anything. So I think playing reading, mining, not reading, mining, dining and mining, the reading bomb site, and then top floor is just, it's the way to go. It's not like Beastcoast playing in the kitchen bomb site found much success. I mean, they lost both times.
5 seconds left.
So that was a nice way for the analysts to dive into the rhythm of a particular map. Where are they going? Why do you go to certain bomb sites over others? Why do you opt for one team will go to kitchen twice and the other team will literally never go to kitchen?
Yeah, that's the beauty of different playstyles, right? Imagine if every single team did the exact same thing. It all came down to those like tiny like gunfights and small decision making. It would be so bland.
I mean, I do enjoy that though, but the only problem that presents is that Rainbow Six has so much going on across the map at all times that you're gonna miss a lot of those little micro moves because the game won't be played on a macro level. At that point, it's just a micro level. And if somebody decides to, open up maybe even a couple pixels of a wall that gives you a better vantage point and you don't catch that, then you'll be like, well, they just did the same thing. Which is not the case at all. First kill from the round is on to Panbazoo. He's been involved in the duels on both attack and defense more often than anybody else. That's his role. You expect it. And despite the scoreline, Panbazoo on attack was excellent at getting those first picks. And on defense, he's been okay, but not as good.
I hate talking about it, but I imagine Hyper was like 8-8. It's 6-3.
Imagine Hyper was 4-8. Let's even do that.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, Beastcoast, they're fighting so much in these rounds, and it's so close time and time again. But those small things, you know, I hate saying it, but it has to be spoken of.
I mean, I think it's worth noting. When you have somebody whose role is largely designed around getting kills, and that player is not only just falling short, but just isn't doing their job. 0 kills. That's rough. I mean, the thing is that Hyper has still provided value through utility.
Of course.
You don't need to be the best aimer in the game. I mean, a lot of people would not consider Canadian and even probably the top 50 percentile of aimers in all of pro play, but he's a multi-major and multi-world championship winning IGL.
Yeah.
Achieved is taking down Vertical, by the way. That was one of the hottest players for Beastcoast, and now Mr. B falls as well. While we've been consumed with talking about Hyper, we haven't really been discussing how poor Mr. B has been as well, but look at Hat. Hat picks up 2 very fast. It's him and it's Hyper. What was a 4v2 is now a 2v2. You have to test their mettle. Gavin softening up Hyper. Is Hyper able to walk away from this with a kill? He's toiling over by Cigar, does some damage to Gavin. Hat wants this. He's getting ever closer, but Achieved is spotted on the flank. Hyper will swing. He gets his first kill and breaks the goose egg. Now Gavin will need to clutch out in a 1v2 to send DZ into the winner's column. No diffuser in hand. They have to go for kills, and Gavin fries them. Ice in his veins. DZ allow Hyper a single kill. And then they say, but we're going to win the match anyway. A nice parting shot to their former teammate of Hyper, but DZ walks away with all 3 points.
Oh, and it looks so good because they had the read for the 2v1, but they line up the pre-fire from Gavin finds the member who was healthy of hat, and Hyper had just 1 point of HP.